let's do it, baby. It's a football Friday. It's a freaky Friday. And hopefully we have a nice weekend leading up to this huge matchup on Sunday night. The Birds travel down to Dallas to take on the boys in Jerry World. All right, so first of all, at Wise Rye, of course, I appreciate anyone who's rocking with me, who's tuning in maybe for the first time. Please, I'm begging you kindly, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button on TikTok, on all my social media, at Wise Rye. I appreciate it. Each and every follow and subscription goes a long way in helping to grow my YouTube channel, my TikTok channel, all that good stuff. All right, so here we are now. The Birds are, I don't want to say it's a must-win, but it's as close to a must-win as you can get here for the Eagles, sitting at 10-2, coming off that devastating loss to the Niners. We have a ton of questions that need answers, and we're going to get those answers on Sunday night, but sort of just scratching our heads now and second-guessing our whole entire existence after that just embarrassing loss at the Link from the 49ers, right? They just issued a straight-up beatdown. And some topics we're going to get into. Who has the most pressure on them heading into Dallas on Sunday night? Key matchups to keep an eye on. We'll get into the SHAQ Leonard signing, give you my thoughts on that. We'll get into the landscape of the NFC and the NFC East. What happens if the Birds lose? What does that landscape and big picture look like? What happens if the Eagles win? All right, and all the latest news and notes heading into this colossal matchup between the Birds and the boys. All right, you have this Eagles team right now sitting at 10-2. You have this Cowboys team sitting at 9-3. You have both quarterbacks, the betting favorites, not the betting favorites, but they're both tied for the second best odds to win NFL MVP at plus 350. So not only will the winning team have a huge advantage potentially for the NFC 1 seed, for the NFC East, but the winning quarterback could position themselves nicely to win the NFL MVP award. So there's just so much drama and storylines here. And of course, do the Eagles need to run the ball more? That's been pretty much the topic of the week here throughout the Delaware Valley. I'll give you my thoughts on that. So we have a lot to get into here. We're going to start off with who has the most pressure on them and why. And make sure you comment. All right, I always respond to each and every comment on all of my YouTube videos. There's so much pressure on the Eagles to bounce back and get a win here against their rival Dallas Cowboys. And yeah, of course, you could say there's always pressure in the NFL, especially this time of the year, especially when you're a contender for the Super Bowl, when you're trying to make a deep playoff run. Like, it's a Captain Obvious statement, and you can certainly say Jalen Hurts. You can certainly say Brian Johnson. You can say Sean Desai. You can give a lot of answers. And for me, it's on Nick Sirianni, right? Like, it doesn't mean there's no pressure at all on all those names I just rattled off. Of course, there's a ton of pressure on Jalen Hurts to get this offense right again, to help lead this team to a huge bounce-back victory. But we know, I'll speak for myself. I know who Jalen Hurts is at this point in his career. All right, 28 wins, 3 losses in the regular season as a starter. He has 4 game-winning drives this season alone. He has 31 total touchdowns this season alone, which is second in the entire NFL. All right, he's been a beast. He's been a baller. He's been the chief in command throughout this entire season, just like he was last year for this Philadelphia Eagles team. It's Nick Sirianni, right? You can talk about how you hate Brian Johnson. You can talk about how you hate the defense and, Desai needs to go, Brian Johnson needs to go, whatever it may be. This is a week where the head coach needs to sit down Brian Johnson and he needs to explain to him exactly what he wants and what this team needs. We need to run the ball more. We need to run the ball more efficiently, maybe not quantity, but quality. And here's how we're going to do it. This is how the first quarter is going to look like. This is how I want our second half to look like. These are the adjustments we're going to make if Dallas shows us look X instead of look Y, right? You get my point. So I want to see a strong, nice game plan. I want to see the offense in rhythm. I want to see the defense actually freaking tackling someone on Sunday night. And that falls on the head coach. All right, Nick Sirianni We're going to find out if he's getting his boys, not the Cowboys, if he's getting his birds ready with the game plan and the execution and keeping this team focused leading up to this primetime matchup on Sunday night in Dallas. And speaking of it being in Dallas, right, it feels like the Eagles have had success against the Cowboys, but not really. I mean, this Eagles team, we haven't seen the Eagles win on the road in Dallas since 2017, right? It's not an easy place to play. It's tough to beat this Cowboys team twice in one season. Already did it in a thriller earlier in the year, 28-23, and now with everything on the line, not having a win in, 6 years, you have to figure out a way to steal one on the road as an underdog once again in Jerry World. So all of my eyes at least, is on Nick Sirianni, the head coach, as far as who's under the most pressure to deliver a victory on Sunday night. So the Eagles and Howie Roseman made some news, as they always typically seem to do this time of year in the NFL season, adding linebacker SHAQ Leonard, all-pro linebacker. But let me just make sure I clarify all-pro. He's a former all-pro linebacker, and the Eagles' linebacker position on the depth chart, it's ugly and it's depleted. So any type of depth right now at that position is a huge deal, and it should provide some help and relief for the defense, particularly at that linebacker position. I get that, but I'm not trying to be negative Nancy. I don't know what to expect. I'm tampering my expectations with SHAQ Leonard because, yeah, he's an all-pro. Yeah, we need help desperately at linebacker. But why did the Colts just say, yeah, you're good, see you, dude, right? We're going to pay your salary. We're going to pay you millions of dollars to leave us. And that's a Colts team, by the way, that's in playoff contention. That is a team looking for a playoff berth, looking to punch their ticket to the playoffs. And this is a guy right now that's ready to go, seemingly healthy and ready to go. And they said, nah, we don't even want you. And once they cut him, SHAQ Leonard, didn't really get swooped up immediately. All right, he lingered there out in the market, made trips to Philly, made trips to Dallas. It took a little while before he found his home here in Philly. So I can only pose the question, why? Right? Why? So I hope he's able to provide some help for the Eagles defense, particularly at linebacker, because they're going to need all the help they can get going up against this Dallas Cowboys team led by Dak Prescott. You have some serious weapons on the outside. We all know CeeDee Lamb is a problem. Brandon Cooks, a problem. And Ferguson in the middle, their tight end. You know, he's not Dallas Goedert, but he's a guy that can cause you some issues, and he's a guy that can find a lot of openings on the defense because of the weapons that the Cowboys do have. So keep an eye out, of course, for not only CeeDee Lamb, but how much of SHAQ Leonard will we see out there on the field, and will he be able to make an immediate impact? You know, I said we have all these questions to start this video. I said we have a ton of questions. We're going to get the answers on Sunday. The good thing, the positive, the Eagles control their own destiny right now. If they win out, they're the 1 seed, they're NFC East champs, all's well and good. All right, and they still control their destiny. If they win on Sunday night and take care of business, that's going to position themselves nicely. It should lock up the NFC East crown. They'll have a 2-game lead over the Cowboys, and they'll hold the tiebreaker. They'll still have a 1-game lead over the 49ers for the 1 seed, and Jalen will most likely position himself to be the odds-on betting favorite again for NFL MVP. So keys to this game here quickly. Of course, Ferguson against the linebackers and newly acquired SHAQ Leonard. CeeDee Lamb against the Birds and their secondary. The Eagles' running attack needs to be more efficient, if nothing else. They need to be able to tackle anybody. And we'll finish on this. Jalen Hurts against Dak Prescott. You know the narratives out there if Jalen and the Birds lose, and you know the narratives if they win. Let's go Birds. Can't wait. Let's get our first win since 2017. Thank you, everyone. Hit the subscribe button at Wise Ride. Go Birds.